Welcome to the biggest winter sports event in the Southern Hemisphere.
The largest snow sports event the world's going to see this winter.
New Zealand Winter Games.
One of the most popular events on the calendar.
This is Winter Games.
Winter Games. Winter Games.
This is the New Zealand Winter Games. Yeah, so pretty epic to be able to sleep in your own bed at a competition. So it's pretty much like the one time of the year that I was able to do that.
Now, Hamish, is the Kiwi Jossie Well.
Winter Games really gave the Kiwi athletes that exposure through the media and really put like winter sports on the map in New Zealand.
Janina Kuzma from New Zealand, the local competitor.
Winter Games sort of legitimised New Zealand as a world-class, top-level international competition destination.
Now to the top of the course, Brittany Howes of New Zealand, local Kiwi. Amongst the field of competitors is Queenstown doctor and former national ski cross champion, Sam Hazelton.
For a long time, Winter Games was the largest snow sports event in the Southern Hemisphere. And that meant a lot for New Zealand in terms of putting us on the stage of world snow sports.
In the early days of Winter Games, snow sports, or winter sports in general, weren't really on the New Zealand public's radar. That was Eon's vision, the whole thing was to try and make something that was different to everything else. It would make New Zealand appear on the world map. People would recognise that we were a winter nation.
I suppose the idea was to do something unique, to raise the profile of winter sports in New Zealand, and hopefully attract more young athletes and promote young athletes to do better in winter sports. So that's the real driver.
Eon loved New Zealand and loved everything about it. And I think he saw an opportunity for New Zealand to be a major player in snow sports globally.
Can I now declare Winter Games open?
It's a stacked field. There's some really good skiers here, so it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's awesome because it raises the profile for snowboarding in New Zealand.
Best athletes in skiing, best athletes in snowboarding. To have those on our front doorstep here is pretty spectacular.
When it first started, I think the uniqueness was the fact that the program was so broad.
At one point it had figure skating, ice hockey, cross-country skiing,
Ice dancing through to curling.
Alpine to free ride,
half-pipe, slopestyle, big air,
ski across.
Alpine skiing to park and pipe events.
fireworks displays, street jams. It was crazy.
You name it, it was part of the event.
Well, we're absolutely delighted with the first Winter Games. All the top athletes came. We wanted 800 to come. We had more than that. We wanted at least 21 countries to come. We had 42 countries came. And the venues really delivered for the athletes.
One of the major factors that, to me, made the Winter Games NZ stand out to other events that I participated in around the world was they took elements of the Winter Olympic Games and they kind of distilled them down into like a mini version for the Winter Games NZ, where we had the host country, that was us, and then we had international teams come down to represent their countries and themselves in these events. And we had multiple different events from snow sports to ice sports, all throughout South Island. And so for us that hadn't experienced a Winter Olympic Games yet, the Winter Games was kind of this nice proving ground where we got to experience a taste of some of these things on our journey to inclusion.
Having Winter Games in our backyard on home snow was absolutely crucial, particularly to my qualification to Pyeongchang. Having an event that you didn't have to travel far to, a venue that you were really familiar with, and comfortable with, not just on snow, but the whole, driving up to Cadrona, parking in the car park, getting ready in the cafe. That was an environment that I was really familiar and comfortable with. So I think without Winter Games, without that initial exposure to the sport, and then having that stop in New Zealand on the World Cup tour throughout the years, I don't think I would have had the career in snow sports that I did.
Standing on the podium with 2 Olympic medalists, Ayana Onozuko and Devon Logan, I think I realized that I'm competing at a really high level. I feel like that's why New Zealand is so successful now, because we had Winter Games and so many younger athletes could actually see a pathway. They could see that there was an actual career in winter sports.
The Winter Games was a necessary stepping stone for many New Zealand athletes. It was a necessary chance for our athletes to compete on a global stage and to step up to that elite level.
It gave New Zealand athletes an opportunity to showcase themselves, but also gave athletes a pathway to try and get towards those big pinnacle events, qualify for future Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games.
Yeah, I'd say the Winter Games has definitely played a big role in the reason that our countrymen and women are crushing it on the global stage right now.
We are a major player in snow sports globally, and I think a huge part of that is because of Winter Games and because of that vision that Eon had those years ago.
I can just remember it was always super special competing in front of the home crowd. I definitely felt like I put more pressure on myself at the Winter Games than I did, overseas, just because there was my mum watching and live in the flesh, rocking up to Cadrona at 7:30 a.m. with the gear and putting the stuff on in the calf, and just really it's game time. Got to put the town on my back today, let's go.
It was so cool to have all these people coming into our hometown and just loving it so much. It made me really proud to be from here and really stoked to be able to show them around.
It felt like a platform for our sport to be shown to the mainstream in New Zealand, and felt really great to be a part of something that the whole country was getting behind.
We'd gone through a strategy session back in end of 2019, which looked at what we wanted the Games to be in the future, and we thought about absolutely everything but a global pandemic.
The COVID pandemic has seen the usual calendar of World Cup events that open the season down here cancelled. So instead, it was back to the drawing board for the organisers to try and come up with a format that could work within the restrictions.
To be honest, it was actually really exciting because there was this brand new concept. As far as we know, it had never been done in this format before. We had an epic team delivering. We had a group of epic Kiwi athletes who were super keen to make something happen that winter, so it just felt like a really cool opportunity.
The Sydney event was a new, fun, collective, collaborative way to compete.
It was a cool moment because we got athlete input into absolutely everything we did.
First year was just all us Kiwis, it was that COVID weird year, so we're all just stuck here in Wanaka.
Having the team event actually meant that I got to meet and really get to know all the athletes, not just the ski athletes. We got to hang out with all the snowboard athletes, and so that team event really brought everyone together.
I did a trick and my brother Bo did the same one and he got a higher score than me on it, and I was like, bruh, I can't be having this. And so I was like, I'm gonna do a trick I know that he can't do. And it turns out I couldn't do it anymore either. I got smoked. And then I was out for the rest of the Obsidian.
I just remember how excited Sir Eon was, with the event. I remember the prize giving with Sir Eon handing over the Edgar Trophy. And it was just a really special thing to have essentially pulled out of the bag.
I mean, I guess in all honesty, when we were unable to deliver, a full event program due to COVID, it never actually crossed my mind that we wouldn't return to a full event program.
I mean, outside of the Olympics, World Cup is the elite when it comes to park and pipe. And Winter Games, for it to continue on, it had to be an elites event. We needed World Cups. We needed this to be the best in the world coming in, or it wasn't the Winter Games as it was envisaged.
We were getting to a point where we were going from Continental Cups to Junior World Championships to back on the World Cup stadium, which is really showing what New Zealand could deliver. And it was nice to be able to do those again.
Hello and welcome to New Zealand for the first World Cup of the free ski calendar in the 2024-2025 season.
By the time we got to 24, we were so short of money. We were, therefore the staff were having to carry so much more load than they would have. And it was, we got it over the line, but it was tough on the people. And, that was the point where we're like, okay, if something doesn't change, something's got to change. And that's where we had to make the really difficult decision to say that while we love the Winter Games, while we love what it does, we love what it does for New Zealand snow sports, it just wasn't financially viable to continue.
I definitely believe that without Winter Games, there is going to be a gap or an opportunity that was afforded to those of us that came before that isn't currently available for the next generation. I think it's not having that international event in the home environment that's the piece that's going to be missing for a lot of them.
I think the legacy of the Winter Games NZ is the continued success of our New Zealand athletes on the global stage. As more and more younger generations come through in these sports and experience success on the global stage, even though some of them may never get to experience a Winter Games themselves, it's undoubtedly so that this event will have had an impact on their careers with or without them knowing so.
I feel like everyone that worked for Winter Games were there because of a joint passion and belief that we could create something that was valuable to the New Zealand snow sports community. And I think that the people are the legacy, really.
I would want Winter Games to be remembered as an important part of elevating New Zealand snow sports to the point where we are now forces to be reckoned with on a global stage.
It gives our athletes the chance to compete at home, and hopefully will encourage more young, promising skiers, snowboarders to compete and become world class. The international exposure this gets, you can't replace it. I mean, there's a viewing audience of over 1 billion people, and with 6 World Cups, it's more than even Austria have, so it's very encouraging.